Birth control is a huge controversy today in America, and I was wondering why the church is against birth control.
Well, it's a part of a larger question, isn't it? The whole question of human sexuality, the whole question of family life, the whole anthropology of human sexuality is much debated. American society is very secular. Many people do not marry today and have children. In some states, they're changing the laws so that two men may be married or two women may be married, or at least live in civil union, as they do in the state of Illinois. And so the whole traditional Judeo-Christian understanding of marriage and family life has been jettisoned and all but abandoned in some quarters in American culture, which has become more and more secular. And so for the longest time, most religious people believe that marriage, it comes to us from God, and the married couple are given the blessing of children, and they should not do things that in some artificial way interrupt the loving act in marriage from the possibility of having children. It does not mean that the church believes that married couples should have necessarily one child after another every 9 months, because it's more than the mother might be able to do and more than the family can afford emotionally, psychologically, and financially. But the church believes that to interrupt this artificially by use of certain contraceptives, even though they're not abortifacients, though some are, is to separate the intimate meaning of marriage that unites the husband and wife together in an intimate love relationship, and is also open to life. It's open to life, life-giving. It's generative. As you know, it's become more controversial recently because the Secretary of Health and Human Services in the present federal government has issued a norm saying that our Catholic healthcare providers and other entities must provide copay insurance for people who want to have birth control. And the bishops of the United States have asked that we be granted an exemption from that because of religious liberty. We should be able to exercise our faith, and we made a very strong case for that. And Secretary Sebelius, who by the way is herself a Catholic, has recently issued a statement saying that has been studied, and because of our great concern, they'll give us a year to adjust ourselves to this change. Well, a year won't change anything. That's really saying that you have a year in which you must decide to violate your conscience and to violate what you believe. So that certainly the American bishops are making strong efforts to try to appeal this, because if the government is going to say we will require you not to follow your conscience in this area, the same will be true in other areas. Just recently in the state of Illinois, we had to deal with the question of our Catholic social services and our wonderful foster parent and adoption service, because the state has issued legislation approving civil unions and issued norms from the Department of Families and Children that anyone who provides foster parenting services or adoption must present them to same-sex couples. We don't place children in the homes of a cohabitating man and woman if they're not married, and so we had hoped that we would be able to recommend, and if a same-sex couple came to us, that they go to another entity, though none have ever come to us, to my knowledge. But instead, we were not able to get that exemption, and so in the state of Illinois, all the dioceses in our province of Chicago, the Archdiocese of Chicago, the Diocese of Rockford, the Diocese of Springfield, the Diocese of Joliet, the Diocese of Belleville, the Diocese of Peoria, have in one way or another been forced to phase out of this work. Our Catholic Social Services is in the process of disestablishing itself and becoming a secular entity so that it can comply, which means it will no longer be a part of the diocese, and those children will not benefit from the Catholic Church's understanding of love and family life. So this is a part of a larger question. And it's the question of contraception is controversial even amongst Catholics, because statistics show that many Catholic people who consider themselves faithful to the Church in many areas, maybe most areas, feel that non-abortifacient forms of contraception, in addition to periodic continence, is morally acceptable for them, which means the Church is challenged to more effectively communicate its understanding of the intimate, intrinsic meaning of marriage. So that's a good question.